Hey guys, Hfmasters here, and today we are taking a look at the LEGO Ninjago Legacy Kai's Blade Cycle and Zane Snowmobile set. The set comes with 376 pieces and retails for $30 in the US, and it also comes with 4 minifigures. Quickly on the front of the box you can just see both of the sets, and then on the back of the box, like always, you can just see all of the functions. So here is the Blade Cycle. So as a bike, it's a pretty good design. It isn't anything groundbreaking or new really in any way. If you have the Mr. E-Bike from the Street Race of Snake Jaguar set, that's a very similar build to this. They're almost identical in a lot of ways, with the main exception being the way they integrate the function. And speaking of the function, all what really happens here is there's these two black bars on the side and you push them inward and these blades split out, which I think looks really nice. They form a X formation, which I think looks really cool, and overall it's a pretty efficient thing. You can easily close them back in with these two back flaps, which will close all of them, but you do have to close the back ones only, because if you close the front ones it won't close all 4 of them, it'll only close the 2 front portions. But I think this function is really good for the most part, especially location wise, because the way it's integrated, they have it located right in the back here, so you can put your hands around it while moving it around and you can push it out, and it just works really well and it makes a lot of sense, and there's some good design work there. Also, a little bit interesting stuff for the design, the way they have it built, they do have a bigger tire used on the back here, and what that does is this actually lets the bike lean forward a little bit, which is something the original Blade Cycle did as well, which I thought was really nice, and they carry it over here. You can also see they have tons of blades just scattered across the whole thing, really fitting with the blade theme. Now at the front, they've decided to change it up a little bit, and they've gone with a completely black windshield area, with the only thing really being there for decoration is one flame sticker, which I'm not sure if that was really the best choice to go with here, because I think it looks a little bit lacking in red compared to the original, and I don't know how many people are really going to like this as much if they just went with the red one, but I think it's okay, it's not completely bad. And the last thing to note here is the cockpit section. There really isn't anything there. All you can do is just put Kai there, and there are some handlebars for him to hold. Nothing special there. But now let's get into the most obvious criticism with this thing. This set doesn't really do a great job at really representing the original Blade Cycle for a lot of people. And for comparison's sake, here's the original one. So you can see they have bits and pieces of it in here. The front on this one I think was a lot cooler and way better done. The actual design in a lot of cases is very different, but there are actually some advantages to this newer version that I think some people are overlooking. For one, the function is just so much better on the new one. It works way better. It has a lot more actual action and springing blades to it in my opinion, and I think that's something this one really improves on the original on. But there's a lot of bits and pieces in terms of design work and overall look that I think really they kind of lacked in when it came to this recreation. But now let's talk about what I think is the better half of this set. The Zane Snowmobile is really nice. This is a huge improvement on the original one in a lot of ways, especially one of the small little features that they included that I really like is the way they just have this thing able to turn, so when you roll it around you can easily turn it like this because of the way they use a very simple thing here. They just have a loose pin and allows this little part to spin around, and so when you turn it around you can easily move directions. It just makes sense and it works well, and it's a smart design choice that I think was really well done. Another good integration of functions is right over here in the front. They have these stud shooters, and the way these work is that they have these 2 little areas on the front, and you can just push them down and launch the stud out like this. Also, another thing to note about these things right here is that they actually do have clips to carry the shurikens of ice for Zane, which is yet another smart bit of design. The back area preserves the design of the original with this rock piece coming out, kind of like the represents snow shooting out from the back. It just looks nice and works well, and it doesn't interfere with the tire but if you do have it a little bit too far down, it will kind of bump into it, but it will still move. It'll just have a lot more friction, so you kind of got to make sure you have it set in certain angles so you can freely move this around. In the cockpit section, they have one sticker on top of this slope piece, and there isn't really that much on it. There's just a little bit of a speedometer and some buttons just to give a little bit of a console for Zane. Also, one last thing to note is this set does have a couple side builds. This first one is just a shrine for the Sword of Fire. It has a little bit of detailing in the back with some of those macaroni Technic pieces. They look pretty nice there, but overall nothing too crazy here, just a nice little shrine. This other one is very small. All it does is it just holds a little piece of dynamite, and it has a sign in the front with some Ninjago language. And then there's a street lamp, which once again has a sign, and it also has a chain on the front, so I guess you could drag that around if you really wanted to. Now, minifigure wise, there isn't anything really crazy here. All 4 of these figures are not exclusive. However, this is the cheapest way to get Lasha and Spitta. And speaking of those two are some interesting choices, I think, for Snake figures, because neither of them are really prominent, but for some reason these are 2 they decided to bring back. But as they are, they do both look pretty good. I like the head mold for Spitta a lot, but otherwise there isn't anything particularly crazy about those 2. Zane and Kai are both pretty similar, and there isn't anything really much to say here that I haven't already said, but they are both good figures, so overall a pretty solid minifigure selection. And lastly, this set does come with another one of these Spinjitzu handle things. So if you didn't see my monastery review, basically what happens is you throw a minifigure on top like this, and then you can just spin it around and knock over some other figures. Now, I think this is a pretty good thing, but like I said before, they already have the spinner set, so I'm not really sure how good this is going to be for people that are going to end up buying a lot of those. But overall, I think it's a pretty nice thing. So overall, I think this is a pretty solid set. The Snowmobile is a really nice thing, and it's definitely the highlight of the set, at least for me. The Blade Cycle, if you ignore that it isn't really that great of a representation of the original one, it's a pretty solid bike, and there isn't really much wrong with it. It's just not what a lot of people were really hoping for. The side accessories are all kind of throwaway things. I don't think they really add anything particularly special to this set, and to be honest, I think it would have been better if they would have just kind of decreased the size of the shrine a little bit and completely got rid of the other stuff to kind of beef up the Blade Cycle a little bit, because I don't think they really needed to do much to the Snowmobile. Minifigure selection is pretty good. The addition of the Spinjitzu handle thing is interesting because I think it works best when you have 2 of them, because then you can battle. But with only 1 of them, it's a little bit less interesting, but I still think there's a lot of potential there. So overall, this is a pretty good set. I would definitely recommend it, but I don't know if this is one you should really be sighting out to get on day 1. But that is it. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, this is Hfmasters saying goodbye.